I almost did it. I almost did. Hey, all you cats and kittens, and I have to stop myself and bring it back. Hi everybody out there. I'm Keyoka, the Awkward Black Nomad. I'm a writer. I'm a dog mom, and I travel solo. My channel is for Black women who want to travel more, or maybe even live abroad. I talk a lot about my experiences as a digital nomad, bringing my dogs with me to travel, and also I have other Black women who either live abroad or who travel long term come on my channel and I get in their business. Basically, we have a special guest today. I'm going to bring her up. Hi.
Hi.
How are
Thank
you?
you so much for having me.
Thank you for coming. Everybody, this is Tracie Collins, entrepreneur extraordinaire, currently residing in San Miguel de Allende, Mexico. Tracie, thank you so much for being here with us.
Thank you. I'm excited to be here. So I'm grateful. I actually dreamed about it, which I never do when I'm on other people's podcasts. So I appreciate it.
Was it a good
So
dream or was it
it
a
was. I mean,
bug?
it was yeah. So I was like, I think because I was excited to be here.
Yay.
Mhm.
Thank you so much. Everybody, as you come on in the room, please drop down in the comment sections and say hello. Let us know that you're there. If you have any questions for Tracie as we have the chat, put a Q in front of your question and like the video. Yeah, like the video. Show me some
Yeah.
love. December is our travel planning month, so a lot of the content that I'm creating will be talking about how to get abroad, how to stay abroad. Um, so today with Tracie, we're actually going to be talking about how to transition your business abroad. We're obviously going to get into the nitty gritty of Mexico since that's where she currently resides. But if you have any questions, let us know. All
Mhm.
right.
All
So
right.
before before we went on, Jesse, you were telling me you're originally from California, but I only know you
Mhm.
from Atlanta. I've only heard you say Atlanta. So, what's the journey to California, Atlanta, and then Mexico?
So I'm originally from Oakland, California, and I moved to Atlanta in 2016. And from 2016 to 2023, Atlanta, and then Mexico. Mhm.
Okay,
So a
perfect.
lot of the attitude that you see me is that Oakland, that's that Oaklander in me.
I don't know
Just
what
have a
that
different.
means. Is that where Kendrick is from? Because that energy.
No, I equate it to like the Chicago vibe. Like women from Chicago have like very similar personalities as women from Oakland. And I've never, ever, ever met a woman from Chicago I didn't vibe with, ever.
Nice. Okay,
Yeah.
all right. Don't beat me up. I don't know about Oakland. I don't know what I'll be doing out there. Um,
Yeah.
so what inspired you to actually move to Mexico?
Well, for me, my move abroad journey started in 2015 when I knew I wanted to live outside of the United States. So that's when my research started. And I initially thought I was going to be in Costa Rica. And for years, I thought it was going to be Costa Rica. And so, I just kind of was fixated on there. And it wasn't until 2022, 2021, 2022, when someone said, Tracy, you really need to just go to Mexico. And I'm like, why? I'm a California girl. It's like, I grew up with like Tijuana and, being down the street and you don't go there and all of the things. So I'm like, why? Why is everybody going to Mexico? And so Mother's Day 2022, I gifted myself a trip to Mexico, and I actually took my youngest daughter, who was 18 at the time. I took her with me, and we went to Tulum. It was right on the end of the big Tulum hype. It was almost at the end of that when Tulum was becoming really, really popular. And so we went, and when I tell you from the moment I landed, and the guy from the shuttle company that I had hired to take us to our Airbnb, which from Cancun to Tulum was about a 2-hour ride. He took my pink duffel bag and he carried it. And it was something so significant in that moment, and then I just got to see like the hospitality of the Mexican people. Now, granted, when you are patronizing services, you are absolutely going to get great treatment and a lot of courtesy, but he was amazing. And from that moment on, it's just really been a consistent thread with the Mexican people, because then I went scouting trip crazy. I did, 2022, 2023, we did a total of 8 scouting trips. I mean, eight,
Eight.
we scouted 8 cities. Hmm.
Okay, you said a lot of things I want to get into. I want to take a moment to say hi to everybody. Hi, D from H&D Abroad. I'm assuming it's D and not H. Hi. Uh, Hi, it's mildly chaotic. Good afternoon. That's a new name.
That's a cute
A
name.
cute name. Hi,
Hmm.
what's up, my sister?
Aww. Hi, Yvonne.
Hi,
Girl,
Yvonne.
Yvonne be
Hi,
having me
D.
cracking up.
I know.
Yvonne is a hoot.
Hi, Angela. How are you? Hi, the butterfly effect. Okay, so
Darling.
you said several things. So first of all, growing up in California and
Mhm.
like there being this sort of, oh, we don't go to Tijuana, like it's sketchy down
Mm-mm.
there, it's safe. I feel like a lot of Americans grow up thinking that Mexico is safe. So like I'm in Texas and there's all things, there's a lot of things going on in Texas, but the consensus is that, oh, Mexico, oh, anywhere in Latin America, it's very scary. So how
Mhm.
did you, I guess, subvert your biases or fears, your initial fears of going, and just say, you know what, I'm gonna go see what's going on down there?
Instagram. Because the pictures were so beautiful. That was the Tulum thing, that era that Tulum was in. And so I was like, okay, let me go. And being in Atlanta at the time that I decided to go, the trip was like $100 and something round trip nonstop. And so it was an easy, quick flight because it was less than 2 hours. And I don't like to fly. So if I can, that's why I don't like flying in the United States, because it doesn't make sense to me to be 5 hours on a plane and still be in the same country. That makes
Same,
absolutely no sense to
same.
me. Why am I still here? Why am I still in this country?
And the ticket
So,
prices are so
and
expensive.
the ticket prices are ridiculous. And living from the West Coast to the East Coast, you could not get a good ticket for under $500.
Right.
So when I decided, I was like, okay, let me just go. And I went, and it was just a beautiful, beautiful experience. And to share it with my youngest, so we got to experience like Mother's Day in the United States, and then like 2 days later is Mother's Day in Mexico. So I got like a double Mother's Day.
I love that. That's so sweet. Okay, so
Yeah.
you talked about 8 scouting trips. Explain yourself.
Yeah.
Why is it is it because I don't know. Just give the people why 8.
Okay, so before I actually met Rashida, and if you were to see us together in person, you would swear we were like like spat cousins. Like
You know, I have that same chemistry with Rashida, so
we do. We're just like we just bicker with each other and go back and forth. But she did a video a while ago when she went down the popular cities. She did a part 2 since the original one, but she did like the popular cities that expats were going to. And so and in that, like I said, okay, we checked off all of those cities. So in May of 2022, we went, or me and Mahogany went to Tulum, and then 3 weeks later, I was in Costa Rica, or was it 2 weeks later? I was in Costa Rica. Spent 8 days there, and then 3 weeks later, I was back in Mexico with Honey, and this was the Exodus Summit meetup in
mhm.
Cancun. And so we spent like 8 days there, and it was her opportunity to see kind of Mexico for herself through my lens. And just like anybody else, it was an experience of what the propaganda. So it takes a lot of conditioning and seeing, or unseeing and unlearning when you get to Mexico, just the propaganda that you've been fed from the United States. So we did Playa again for me, well, Tulum, Playa, Cancun, and then we came back in. So that was like June, July, and then we came back. I want to say September 11th, 2022, and we spent 6 weeks in the country. So we did the whole Quintana Roo again, just because we were there, and we also got to see like Puerto Morelos, which was a really cute beach town. We also got to, I think we passed through Porto, Alventores. So we never stopped. But then we went to Merida and spent 5 days there. And then we went to Mexico City. And I thought we were going to spend this like 2 weeks in Mexico City and head over to Puerto Vallarta and Guadalajara. But we ended up liking it so much that we stayed a full month in Mexico City. And while we were there, we went to Puebla City and had spent some time there, and it was interesting. It was very cute, very, very, very cute, but we were an anomaly. It was like, well, what y'all doing here? Because so that kind of concluded the 8 cities, and then SMA was the final spot, but we didn't hit SMA right away. SMA didn't come until October of 2023. So was a long story.
So then there was just a period where you were like, okay, we're just gonna go scout these different cities. Like it wasn't month here, 2 weeks there. That it was literally with intention. This is a
It
period
was.
of time we're gonna stay.
Mhm. Yeah, it was very intentional, and what I'm noticing today is a lot of people aren't scouting. Like if they're planning a move abroad, they're not scouting these locations because vacation is different from scouting, and scouting is different from living. And people aren't spending their time with at least the top 3 places of where they're considering. They're just going sight unseen and landing, and then now like they're having difficulties adjusting. And I think it's because we scouted so much, and we got to see from the southern region of the country, the Yucatan Peninsula, the Riviera Maya. We got to see central Mexico. We got to see the East Coast, or the West Coast, with Guadalajara and Puerto Vallarta, and we got to see a gamut of experiences and people and culture in the Mexican community, to where we really have a good grasp on what it means to not only scout, but where you experience certain differences within the Mexican community or Mexican culture that
Mm,
people don't necessarily know about.
mm, that's fair. Travel
Yeah.
Hi, Adrian says, yeah, Atlanta had Tulum on lock during the pandemic. Everybody and their mama was there. Adrian,
Everybody and their mom was there.
Adrian
Mhm.
is among the at least 2 men that I know watch my channel. So,
Oh, Toonlanta. Yeah.
to Atlanta.
And
And
it was really interesting. Tulum was interesting. Hi, Eileen, because you got to see the juxtaposition of gentrification in real time.
mm,
And it was like you have this beautiful condo that's being built, and that's like 5 stories high. And then you have like traditional Mexican life or living,
mhm,
and people being pushed out of their home. And it was very eye opening for me.
mm, yeah. Um, you talked a bit about Honey and how she needed to get her own taste of Mexico. And so,
Mhm.
did you have to do any convincing? Was Honey someone who traveled frequently internationally? So it was kind of like, oh, yeah, let's get up and go? Or was
Mhm.
there like an adjustment where you had to like convince into going?
I'm still convincing.
You might know.
It was a process. But what I realized in that was she had to come to her own conclusion. And
Mm,
I think when she started seeing the numbers, just like the numbers of everyday life in the States versus the numbers of everyday life that we would hear from people who actually were residing in Mexico, then it really began to click for her.
mm, okay, that makes.
Mhm.
So then why did you end up ultimately choosing San Miguel de Allende? Because you seem to like Mexico City a lot.
Well, Mexico City would not rent to 2 Black women who are a lesbian couple married. Yeah,
Really?
absolutely not. They would not do it. Mm-mm. So after 2 months of trying, so we left the country we left the country August 19th, 2023, and we thought we were going to live in Mexico City. And after 2 months of trying to solidify a place to live, like just rental, we I was like, we're leaving here. I don't care where we go. I just need a mental break
Mm,
because it was so stressful. Not only was it stressful, it was extremely expensive. And there's a lot happening with gentrification in Mexico City and the prices. So, not only the prices of rentals, because they were okay, but it was also the pricing of Airbnb having to stay there. So we were told three different times by three different owners that we got the place. And then, right almost as we were about to sign, then there was always something else that they would ask for. We were asked for prenups. We were asked for, are you legally married? And show us, verification. It was all kind of craziness that nobody had ever been asked for. And so after about almost 2 months to the day, we came to SMA, and it was either go to San Miguel or go to where we had never been and never seen. Just I wanted to see, but it wasn't on our scouting list. And or go to back to Puerto Vallarta. And I actually don't like Puerto Vallarta. I think it acquiesces to white culture, and we were anomaly there as well. And so we went to SMA, and our driver that we had in Mexico City, he drove us to SMA. And it took us, I want to say, maybe 5 days to see the city and fall in love with it. And
Wow.
it was a beautiful surprise. It was a place we didn't know we needed.
Mm. Okay. People in the comments seem surprised about that reception in Mexico City. I am surprised to hear that too. And I think okay, so what I'm thinking is if if we can say Mexico is would you well, I'll ask this question. Would you say that Mexico as a whole is more conservative than how it is in the US? Or do you think it was because of like yes, there's some conservative mindset, but also they knew that they could get more money if they kept the property open, so they use that as an excuse to be kind of biased.
What was happening was part of what was happening was a lot of Americans or foreigners were renting places and leaving without completing their lease agreement. And so the owners were being stiffed out of money. But also, Mexico, it was so funny because in another Facebook group that I was in, I just so happened to post our experience. And it took a guy, I don't know what nationality or what ethnicity he was, but it took some man saying, you guys actually have all of the intersections that would make a conservative country like Mexico City or Mexico say no. And it hit me like a ton of bricks in that moment. Um, and so coming to San Miguel, where it was so open, like the culture and the people were so open to us, and they were happy to see us, and we're still the only Black same sex couple here, as far as male or female.
Hmm.
We have friends who are in interracial relationships, but we are the only like Black couple. And to see the Mexican people here, just the rental process was easy. They didn't ask us for anything that was out of the ordinary. They kept it simple. It was quick, and we're still in the same house today. And we've been here over a year.
That's amazing. Because I would think in my mental map that San Miguel is much smaller,
Hmm.
right? Than
Hmm.
Mexico City. So you would think in a bigger city they would be more accepting or more flexible, but
Not no, not when it came to us in particular. And then some people were like, well, just say you guys are sisters. And Honey was like, I ain't doing that. So
look,
we faced a whole bunch
in
of
the closet,
stuff.
you're not
And
doing that.
because they could never get us on the money part. So
Mm-hmm.
they would try to get us on something else.
Mm. D says from Brown Girls Invest 2, this was right behind a few very public landlord American tenant disagreements. Okay. I didn't know stuff was popping off. I didn't know.
Mhm. Yeah,
Well,
yeah.
so for anybody thinking about scouting Mexico, do you have any tips for them, like sort of things to look for as they look at a new city? And before you answer, I'm gonna remind everybody to like the video because I see how many of y'all are in here, and we didn't got Tracie Collins down to the channel, giving us her information. We not asking y'all for $5. We asking y'all to like the video. Like you could
Just
just
like.
like the video. Like, well, wait.
Mm. to do that. I always ask. I always forget to ask.
Thank you. So yes, do you have any tips for scouting trips?
I would say do it. Don't go. Okay, here I am. Even though we moved to San Miguel side unseen, but we have been in the country for a while. Um, I would say plan at least 3 scouting trips, and it can be expensive, so it makes sense to make sure that you maximize your time, and that's what we did when we were traveling and doing our scouting trips. We hit more than one city intentionally. Also, you have to get out of the vacation mindset, and if you tell me you've come to Mexico and you've only stayed in the resort, then you haven't come to Mexico. It's really about how is your everyday life going to be? What's the access to your grocery store or your tianguis or your mercados, or like what's the transportation system like? Where's the nearest hospital or hospitals? What's the processes there? It's like, what are you going to need and use? What's the cost of living? And be realistic. Where's the nearest airport? Um, and the ease of getting back and forth. And people don't. And another thing, leave your American mindset at home, because that's another thing that I'm seeing a lot of. I'm seeing a lot of people leave the United States trying to recreate the United States in their new place. But my question is, didn't y'all leave for a different lifestyle? So why are you trying to create the same lifestyle that you had? That doesn't make any sense. Part of being now an immigrant is immersing yourself into the community, into the culture, into a new way of life, lessening the things in your life, including expenses that really don't make any like fiscal sense. Um, and don't buy. To me, I was like, don't buy out of the gate. I think that's such an American mindset. Like, I own this. Like,
Yeah.
I own this. This is mine. That's a colonizer's mentality. Come in, see if you like it. Number one, um, see if your place that you're renting, if there's any infrastructure issues, because even though our house is nice and is, perfectly located to where we can walk anywhere and close to public transportation, like our house flooded with shit water. Like, so it's like, if we bought this, then we would have to be dealing with the structural issues. And like, it just doesn't make any sense. And then also, like, the utilities process is different,
Mm.
the bureaucracy is different with ownership, and also properties. From the longest that I've heard in Mexico, it's been like 5 years for one property to sell, versus like in the United States, where, if your house is sitting on the market like 6 months, then that's a long time. So it's like, and you may not even like the area. I love the area that we're in, but I also know other areas that I absolutely love in San Miguel.
Yeah.
So give yourself grace and time. Don't try and come and plan like like financial roots immediately, because you may not like it.
Yeah, I think that's great advice, especially about the neighborhood. So a lot of people have bad experiences within a city, and if
Mhm.
they just had been based in a different neighborhood, they probably would have had totally different experiences.
Totally different experience. And then also, sometimes I know when people move abroad, they want to be in a community where there are people who look and sound like them. And I get that. And you can't be abroad without a solid community. That's one of the things that SMA has, is our community is like the dopest of the dope here. I think we got we got this region on lock. I'm not speaking about the Portugal people, because I know they got that region on lock. you know, um, Krishan, my girl over there, and Halisi and them. But
Alicia.
Mexico, SMA, we got it on. We really do. We have it on lock. And I would say we would not been as successful had we not had community. Because when our stove blew up, I'm texting Michelle. When we
See,
had shit
that's
water, like
why I don't.
like it was all the things.
I said, you see, that's why I don't cook. Right there. You see?
The funny thing is, though, the structure of how things are built are different.
Mm.
So there is no gas like outlet, like output for the gas to go the opposite way for how things are built. So it could only come forward, and I was standing right there. So those are just kind of things that you learn along the way. And fortunately, I wasn't hurt or nothing, and it was an easy process to get it rectified.
Yeah, but really scary too.
It was.
Yeah.
It
Um,
was.
Angela says, while I hate your experience attempting to rent in Mexico City, I love that it led you to finding a place you truly love.
Mhm. I do. I love Mexico City, and I'm because I was born and raised in the city. I'm from Oakland, moved to Atlanta, so I was born and raised in the city. However, I'm a country girl at heart. That's why SMA speaks to me because we see horses all the time, and there's ranches around, and people are riding ATVs, and it's just a way of life here. So you can have a horse, or you can have an ATV, or you can have a car, or you can have just public transportation, whatever. And but Honey is the opposite. She's born and raised in the country, loves the city. And for her, it was like, I love Mexico City. And I was like, well, whatever I need you to do to get out of the States, we'll start there. But I always knew in my gut, and I would say it out loud, that Mexico City is not going to be our place.
Mhm. Travelmatic says you definitely have to stay away from the mainstream Mexico destinations to avoid the gringo gentrification stereotypes facing a lot of Americans. That's
Yeah, I agree. I absolutely agree. And then getting in groups or asking, this is again why community is so important, asking people what are the rental rates here? Because we don't want to outprice the locals, so much. SMA is on the more expensive side in the country, and we know that. But I will say this too: there's some Mexicans that got some money. So
you better believe.
don't think don't think you're gonna come here popping and clicking and flossing, because when I tell you, they will shut you down in a heartbeat. Like, they really have money here.
My name says didn't know Mexico City rolled like that, and I'm gonna keep it moving to a more inclusive place. Thank you for telling us about your experience.
Oh, thank you, my name.
I mean, she
Yeah,
didn't say don't go, but
yeah.
yeah.
That was our experience, and if we were single individuals or if we were friends, I don't think it would have been an issue. But because it was known that we were a married couple, it was definitely an issue.
Hmm. Hi, Amina. I'm ignoring Yvonne's comment. We're not. Thank you, but no, you're embarrassed. Says I chose not to buy in Hawaii due to colonization and how Native Hawaiians are priced out of their own.
Mhm.
Mm. We have a question. Have the rent prices in SMA increased as more people move there and as the money requirements in Mexico? Has she noticed prices?
Yes, absolutely. It's so frustrating too. Now having been here a full year, we really get to see high season and low season. And we're in high season right now. It just means we're the snowbirds and northerners. Canadians and the US Americans are coming down into Mexico because it's still like 70, 80 degrees here in San Miguel. And they come here, 3 to 6 months out of the year between September, October through April. And everything is increased from the cost of you Ubers to maybe some taxis to restaurant prices, rental prices. The grocery store prices are crazy here, especially if you want your creature comforts from home. It's crazy. But to experience low season where the city is quiet and the prices are actually reasonable, it makes a big difference. So unfortunately, yes.
Well, so we talked a little bit about the hiccup with the rental situation. Has there been any other things that have made it difficult for you to transition into Mexico?
Outside of that, difficult to transition. No.
No.
Well, if you want like to ship things or order things, and like they're just things that you have to get used to. Like, they're going to be unexpected fees, like Amazon fees, or trying to get mail, which I love that there's no real mail system here. I love that. I think mail in the United States is traumatizing. Every who likes getting mail? It's nothing but bills, that come through the mail. And so I was relieved to learn that there is no real mail system. And but we have one post office, so my mom sends me care packages, and I'll just go pick up my care package from the post office. But so there are things that you have to get used to, like a way of life. But nothing outside of that biggest hurdle that we experienced in Mexico City.
So is it like when I was in Albania, there really isn't a mail system there. So like if you had a package delivered, you probably get it delivered to like the nearby convenience store in the area because that probably had an address, but you don't have an address. And not just that, but like even like if I ordered pizza, I would have to give people like landmarks to figure out where I was. They knew the neighborhood, but I would have to be like, look, I'm by the tree and or if I was getting water delivered, something like that. Do you run into any issues like that in San Miguel where it's like,
Mm-mm.
no?
We have addresses. Yeah, we have addresses. What you're talking about reminds me of Costa Rica. Like you really have to turn it a left at the tree, like in the red house on the opposite side of the street is the landmark.
Mhm.
Like that's Costa Rica. But Mexico, where we are in SMA, we have addresses. But DHL and USPS, believe it or not, because they don't go through your packages. So if someone sends you something from like standard United States Postal Service into Mexico through yeah, and they don't go through your packages. DHL and FedEx, they will open the package at customs.
Yeah, very invasive. I when I was in Germany, I had something shipped from the US and I had to pay import taxes and I was like, what is
Yeah,
this? Like, and they went
that is
through my package and they wanted to see every item. Like I had to go to a location, have them look through
mhm,
stuff, and then pay a fee to get my stuff. It makes you
mhm.
really need it. I'll tell you that. You
Yeah, it does.
use
It makes you reassess. It makes you reassess need.
mm-hmm.
Absolutely. Sometimes we chalk it up, like we have rugs being delivered today from Amazon, and we chalk up the fees, but sometimes we're like, we're trying to circumvent unnecessary fees and really analyzing if it's something that we need.
Yeah, that's fair. We have another question. My name says I came in a few minutes late. Sorry if this was already discussed, but does Tracy have a visa, and if so, which one? Do
So we got our residency in 2022. We became temporary residents in 2022. So even before we left the country permanently, we had our temporary residency. When we moved to the country permanently, we renewed our temporary residency, and in 2026 we'll go straight into permanent. And currently right now I'm looking into other residencies that I want.
what?
And it was like twice as less for Mexico as what it is now.
Really?
It's gone up double.
D, don't be telling people business. She's here. She'll answer the.
Residency. No, we don't have no, we don't have permanent residency. We'll have it in 2026.
Do you feel comfortable sharing what other countries you would consider getting another residency in?
Yeah. I'm looking into Costa Rica because, again, I love Costa Rica. I love the nature in Costa Rica, and because the barrier to entry financially is so low. However, the process and it getting approved can be a while. Like Mexico is really quick, but Costa Rica, and I was just reading it last night, it can take up to it's either 6 to 8 months or up to a year and a half. It was something crazy, and I'm also just I'm a big fan of like Nomad Capitalist, so I follow a lot of his stuff. So just paying attention to easier citizenships to attain, and I'm just one of the countries that I absolutely love that's on my radar to even visit, and I know like investment is a way to get citizenship is Dominica. So hopefully I can check Dominica off my list soon.
Okay, perfect. Um, so what do you get into when you're in San Miguel? Like, what are some of your favorite things to do? Some of your spots to hang out in?
We be chilling at other people's house.
Why are you making faces?
We We kick it at other people. We kick it at our friend's house. We'll go out to our favorite restaurant once in a while, but for the most part, like we went to Bobby's house for Thanksgiving, and oh my God, the food was so doggone good. Like everybody, all like our whole crew can cook well,
Mm.
so like we all contributed to their Christmas. D, since she's on here, like D makes a really good peach cobbler. She made a really good like gumbo like thing because Honey doesn't eat meat, so she made a really good gumbo dish. And so D, Christmas is at our house, so we're having like oxtails and turkey wings and macaroni and cheese and greens. If not greens, then cabbage. I'm gonna make some dirty rice. Like that's how we get down.
Ooh.
How
Yvonne
we
said
get
the
down.
SMA gatherings are epic. It sounds epic.
Yeah,
Y'all be
yeah.
eating. Have you had trouble
We
getting any ingredients or like finding things?
not for me, not really. I do believe like when you come abroad, bring the seasonings that you like. But now I know where to get the seasonings that we like here. And if I need something in particular, like right now, I'm gonna order some things to my mom's house, and our daughter is coming here on Saturday, so she'll bring those things with us. So it's that kind of like when you go back to the States, just get your creature comforts. But Honey loves grits, so when she goes back to the States, she'll get a whole bunch of grits. It's that
Not
kind of
on
stuff, but you really
the
learn where to get it here.
not on the polenta train.
Yeah, no, I can't grind no hominy for her and say here these are some grits. What's up, Solani?
I don't
I can't do that.
she won't take it. But you mentioned your mom and you mentioned your daughter. How did your family and friends receive your decision to make that leap and move abroad?
Everybody was really supportive. I
Mm.
didn't run into any hiccups, and I also think it's like my personality type too. They can't like when Tracy says she's going to do something, she's going to do it, and we're not going to even try to talk her out of it because she's going to either check us or not listen or
Right.
both.
Choose.
So yeah, that was that they already knew not to go there. But
Mm,
everybody has been here. So and they love it. Like I know my mom wants to come back. Our oldest will be here on Saturday. Our son is planning his move abroad as well. So yeah.
that's powerful. So, do you
Mhm.
think your children? So, you have a son and a daughter,
I have 3 kids.
3 kids.
So yeah.
So, do you think like you making that transition has inspired them, impacted them, and how so?
Well, I'm going to start from the youngest and go to the oldest. Mahogany has started traveling. She started traveling at 14, and her first trip was a 2-week trip to Barcelona at 14. And then I've taken her to Cuba, and she's been, all over Mexico for the most part with us as well. And she'll be here at the end of the month. Mahogany will be here for a visit. So Mo is like, yeah, I'm gonna go back to the States. So she's currently back in the States because she moved abroad with us.
Mm.
But she moved back to the States in May this year. And she says, I just want to be back where they speak English and, to do her thing because she's a young adult. So she wants to experience that for herself because her high school years were filled with COVID. So she's kind of the opposite, but all of my kids have had passports. So our son, his first international trip was earlier this year here, and he really loved it because he was able to feel safe. Our son is 6'4" with locks, chocolate skin, and he can be in the United States what would be considered intimidating or arch enemy number one. And with a target on his back. And here they just looked at him because he was so tall, but everybody was so warm and welcoming to him. Now, our oldest is more conditioned in her mindset of the American way, and she's the one that's half Mexican, but her Mexican family is Americanized. Like they don't even speak Spanish, and they
Mm.
don't. Mexico is what we thought it was in the US propaganda. So they couldn't even give her any reference point. But she's actually pregnant, y'all. So I'm just going to disclose it on here because she don't care if I tell people. So she's pregnant, and because of my history in my work, being a former birthing professional and corporate CEO in that world, I said, you're not having a baby in the United States. So
I was just about to ask that because
I'm pulling rank. She's moving here on Saturday, and not only will the baby, have dual citizenship, she will end up getting her Mexican citizenship through the baby.
Mm.
Yeah.
Really?
Mhm.
First of all, I didn't know that could happen. So if you
Yeah.
give birth in Mexico, you can get Mexican citizenship.
Yes, because the baby is a citizen because born in the country, and the parent can get citizenship through the baby. And giving birth abroad, the baby can get his or her U.S. citizenship through her.
Wow. That's phenomenal.
And it's significantly less. The most I've heard, the most, and I haven't even heard anything that even equivalents this amount, but the most it will cost for her to have a baby here is $5,000, but I'm thinking it's going to be significantly less.
So everybody
And
have
that could be a home birth or a hospital birth.
have your babies in Mexico. Um,
Yeah, or
are there any
outside of the United.
outside the US, please?
Yeah. So there's a place here in SMA called Casa, and they have midwives here.
Oh wow.
Mhm.
Congratulations, Gigi.
Ooh, I'm working it out. I'm working because I was trying to make it to 50 with no grandkids. So, I'll just be a few months shy of 50. I think I'll be like 3 months shy of 50 when she has this baby. So I'm trying to make it work in my
Oh
brain.
right, because this is
Trying to.
your first grandchild.
Hmm.
That's
Yeah.
that's amazing. So what are the best months to visit SMA if she wants to get the full experience? What's the full
I would.
experience?
The full experience of SMA is meeting the community, immersing yourself into the community, going. It gets boring going to restaurants. Like, we're not interested in paying tourist prices, especially when you live here. We don't have to sit on a rooftop and look at the paroquia. We don't That's not, and eat. Like, that's not our thing. That's very much a touristy thing. I would say come in June or July, definitely June, because it's cooled down by then. It's rainy season, and the prices are going to be less, and the experience is going to be more authentic to here in SMA. And I would say also go to the hot springs and go horseback riding. You can go ATVing, go hang out with your folks at a local restaurant because they know where the good eats are for good prices.
Yes, yes. Um, December is not the month.
No, no, it's so expensive to fly here this month. Hmm.
But it seems like a lot of what you're saying is number one, build community. Number
Hmm.
two, have it in your mind that you're going to a place to live there, not just vacation there.
Hmm.
Right? So you've mentioned a lot of things that separate someone who is actually an immigrant, right, versus tourist. I
Hmm.
think those things kind of will help you integrate into the culture that you're moving into.
Yeah,
Yeah. So
absolutely.
let's transition a bit. We're going to talk about business. That was intended, but I think we ran a little long talking about Mexico.
No, I don't care.
You don't care?
I
Well,
love talking about Mexico.
I love hearing about Mexico because I've never been.
Like, I
I
don't
need
know
to get
why,
down.
because you're so close.
I know I need to get down there. I
You're
don't know.
so close.
I jumped and went
Just
to
come
Europe.
up for like a few days.
Yeah, just pop in, dip a toe in.
Man, we literally, who pops in, and I'm surprised she hasn't been here recently, is Janae,
Really? Yeah,
luxury
yeah, she is
vagabond.
there. She is there.
Yeah, Janae better not be here. I swear, if
She's in
Janae
Mexico
hears me.
City.
Oh, she's in Mexico City.
Mhm.
That's why she hasn't said anything. Okay, okay. But Janae comes down a lot. Nene is here. She
Mhm.
just Nene. I'm sorry. Nene is here, and I met her at Michelle's house like about a month. No, about a few weeks within a month. I just saw her last night, and she's from Houston. Like, our Houstonians and our Texans, like, they come down a lot because it's a quick flight and it's inexpensive.
Not in a toe. Yeah, I like to, dip a toe, have a look. Have,
Yes, come see us.
I'll come. I'll plan something. I'll plan something in the new year.
That'd
Um.
be good.
So yes, I again talk about planning this month of December. I'm talking about travel planning. one of the aspects of travel planning is getting your money together, ideally getting your business together if you're an entrepreneur. So, how were you able to transition your business into a new country? I know it's kind of a broad question, but
Hmm.
no?
No, for me, it was extremely intentional. And in 2015, when I knew I wanted to live a life abroad, I started transitioning my work online. And it was interesting because being a birth professional, I was a direct to client service person. So everything that I could transition online, I did until I needed to be present in person. And then when I launched my national company, everything I did was online. So it was very intentional for me to be able to work from anywhere and always to be my own boss because I don't understand me asking somebody for time off. I don't understand.
I don't get it.
I don't under, I shouldn't have laughed out loud, but I don't understand me saying, "Can I get a raise?"
Right.
versus me just putting in a raise for myself. Like I don't understand that. So, and having worked for myself for nearly or over 2 decades now, it's like that makes sense to me.
I think so. I think for me, this is something recently that I'm like kind of coming to terms with. So like I spent last year abroad, and I think in that time, a lot of my way of thinking sort of shifted, and there's
Mhm.
just things that I don't quite understand. Like we don't realize how oppressive business or corporate language is. Like someone is your supervisor, someone is your
Yeah,
manager, right? And like
yeah,
requesting time that's already yours off just doesn't, I can't make that mental leap. It's always going to come out like a statement, it'll never come out like a question. I'm letting
right.
you
I
know.
know, I'm telling you, I'm
I'm
letting
telling.
you know. Hmm.
So I totally get that. But what if, so I don't understand how you would do your job virtually, because don't you be looking at coochies? Like what?
I don't look at vaginas anymore.
Okay,
I
but
don't.
what?
I
But
don't look at vaginas anymore. So I sold my company. I sold my company, which was a part of my exit strategy. So I don't. My company was corporate, so it's still thriving. And actually, I'm in the process of getting ready to broker some corporate deals for them right now. So I'm still in communication and with the new owner of the company. For me, what I do is I work with women who are leaders. So if you are a woman in business and in leadership, meaning that you are leading other people in whatever it is that you do, then I come in and I help you strategize and build your corporation. And then I also there's a lot of things that sometimes don't get fully understood when you start working for yourself or when you're trying to take your business from 5 to 6 figures or being in 6 figures and moving into 7 figures, how to package your brand. And so now, being an SMA, I offer branding services for women in leadership. So they're my clients. So not only am I working with them to strategize and to create scalable sellable businesses because that's what I did, so I'm just mimicking what I've done already for them. And now we're working on branding and then also the business software that can support their companies.
nice. So do you also work with clients based in San Miguel, like Mexican clients, or are they all impact expats, U.S. citizens?
Yeah, they're all women who are they're all women who are business owners and then simultaneously who are moving abroad
Mm,
if if they want that. But I also work with people who are not abroad, but people who are moving abroad, I don't just focus on your relocation. You have to have a business in mind as well. So it can support each other. But I do have clients who have left the States and who are here in San Miguel.
I know. I met one. No, I met two.
You really?
I met two.
Okay, good.
Um, but so what if you are like currently a business owner, but you don't work virtually? How do you, I guess, what would be the process of transitioning your business to where your services are only available online? What if people can't, I don't, not that they can't do it, but what if they've never thought of it? Um,
Um, we have to look at the skill set that you hold and if it's transferable and if there are additional certifications that are needed. Oftentimes, too, when people come abroad, they actually discover more things that they are open to doing because the lifestyle abroad gives flexibility and room for that.
Mm,
Like one of my clients, she is a seasoned professional in her world, but now we're getting ready to add like a real estate aspect into her business. And so had she not taken the leap abroad, that part of her business would have never, or business model would have never opened up the way that she's envisioning it.
mm, that's fair. Um, Yvonne is asking what defines a scalable business, or what are the characteristics of that would benefit from your guidance?
So that's such a good question. She's such a writer, isn't
Is
she?
she?
A writer. Like she cannot get away from that. So scalable is looking at what skill sets that you have or what offers or products that you have that can be monetized. A lot of times people don't understand what or to the level of what can be monetized in the skill set that they have.
Mm,
And so my job as the strategist is to come in and to listen to you, to hear your goals and then where you are now and then take you from A to Z, but the stair step the process for you that makes sense. And in the stair steps, we're creating certain offers based upon your new business model that speaks to where you want to go and grow financially. My goal is always to lead my clients where they can sell their company. Like we're not creating businesses that we're going to keep forever and ever. It doesn't make any sense. Your life is going to change and you're going to want something different if it's 5 years from now or 20 years from now. So we have to create systems and put some processes in place that somebody else will come in, love the systems that are monetized and see how, and then also creating a good database. And so when you have a great database and some excellent systems, then are the beginning components of a sellable business.
mm,
And it takes 2 years to put your business in place to be sold. Not so that's just a 2 year just to say I want to sell my company. Well, think 2 years ahead of it actually being sold.
okay. Um, so it sounds like you're working with people who are already established business owners. What if you're just someone who has an idea, you haven't even gotten your business off the ground yet? Would you be helping that person, or is that not your ideal?
No, 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 I absolutely do. Because my women are still professionals in their industry. So that is what separates them. They're not novices. They're
Mm,
still professionals in the industry, in whatever business industry that they're in or where they're trying to move. However, I do give them homework. I'm notorious for giving my clients a ton of homework. So I have a client who is starting with me in January, and I've had her on her homework trajectory to create her business infrastructure and a solid foundation. So when I come in, then we're scaling it from there.
yeah.
So I give homework. Yeah.
We like homework.
Well, some people don't.
Really?
Some people don't want. I mean, and some people don't want to work, but I totally respect that. But because people are moving abroad younger and younger, the people here in SMA are they're we're all business owners. Now that I think about it. Yeah, we're all business owners. And it's not specific to SMA, let me say that, but um, people are moving abroad younger and younger, so that means they're still earning an income.
Yeah. Um, so I'm thinking about for myself, and I think a lot of people in my peer group, you're more comfortable collecting a paycheck just because it's consistent income. So even though the trajectory ends at entrepreneurship, like I know, okay, I would love to be a business owner to be able to sustain a lifestyle abroad. You feel safe. You feel safe getting that bi-weekly, you know? What would you say? What would you say to me? What would you say to anybody like me who likes the
No,
stability?
no, there's nothing wrong with that. There is absolutely nothing wrong with that. I encourage my clients to let their job, if they have one, be their investor for their business.
Mm,
Like I'm never saying like cut your business, cut your job cold turkey and then kind of go wing it and figure it out. No, absolutely not. You let your job be your investor for your business until your business can sustain and you're making more without your job. That's how that works. And then so you have that stability. But what I will say is you're not going to know the true hustle mentality until you are doing it on your own. So like it was because I was a business owner that we were able that we bought our house or we transitioned abroad or because we took so many scouting trips or because we have the means that we did. It was because I was a business owner and I'm a firm believer in writing everything off. Like when we went to Cuba, I wrote my trip off as a business expense. I write a lot of things off as a business expense. And so you want to make sure that if you are working with somebody, if that is your goal, to make sure that they understand the ins and outs, including taxation and how it's going to benefit and how you can and when you can safely leave your job. It's about working with somebody who really understands that fullness of being a business owner and who's also paying attention to the way business and branding is moving for 2025 and 2026 and 2027, like in the near future.
yeah.
So you can totally do it and let that let that job be your investor. That's your investor.
Yes, I think it's just it's a mindset. It's a mind.
Yeah. It grows you. Business ownership grows you in a way that is really savvy, and you gain a lot of tenacity from it.
Mm.
Mhm.
So Yvonne has another question. I don't know if you feel comfortable giving a number, but how much money would you say I or anybody should have stacked before jumping the ship? I already knew it was gonna.
No. So, we were in the six figures when we jumped ship. Um, However, the bare minimum I would not recommend no less than 20,000. I wouldn't even say 10, 10 maybe, just depending upon your lifestyle and if you're willing to reduce your lifestyle. But you also, even with 10, you have to have a steady earning income to continue to increase that. But 20 for a single person, a single individual who is willing to live less and give up things.
Okay, that's fair. Um, so what would you say would be the first step if you're someone trying to transition a business abroad?
Work online. You have to be able to, if you're not working online, then we have to figure out what are your goals, where are you, and then what can we capitalize on that what you know now becomes your asset, not what you like physically do. Stop trading your time for money and you have to figure out how to make money in your sleep.
Do you feel like there are any hangups with Black women in particular about transferring their skills into a business?
Absolutely not. I think their hang up is in charging their worth. So I teach my clients how to charge their worth because we don't negotiate price over here.
Oh, period.
Yeah, we don't negotiate price, but we also we price ourselves competitively and with the value that we bring to the table. No, let me the value that we are because we can create our own tables.
Mm. I think I've heard a lot of conversations like amongst my peers about not being able to transfer their skills into a business. What advice would you give to a person who, again, like is working a job, is already holding like a leadership position, is already like very um, steeped in that corporate environment? What would you say to that person who is like, I can't go it alone because I don't have any skills that I could create a business with?
So if you're in a leadership position, you already have skills that are monetizable that you can take with you. You're just giving them to somebody else.
Yeah, period. Period.
Mhm.
I mean, I think for me, even like listening to your content, listening to Marissa Price talks a lot about it, like figuring out that I not just have like an education, but that I also do have experience. And these are my transferable skills. Like the things that people, like when you're in, I think when you're in like a toxic work environment, for instance, often you're told like, well, you need to get one more certification, or why don't you like go for that master's, or why don't you go for that whatever it is, because it's this idea that where you are right now isn't good enough. So
Right.
understanding that I have put the work in, I have put the time in, I am knowledgeable, and then
Mhm.
being validate yourself to understand that you can stand alone and have a
Yeah.
business.
Yeah. I completely agree with that. I think I can teach somebody how to make, you know, greens with bacon grease or something like that, and people will pay for that. You
Yeah,
just it is, and one of the things about moving abroad is it gives you the opportunity to reinvent yourself the way that you would not have the time, pleasure, or leisure to still in the States because of the rat race, because of the stress, which clogs your mind. You can't think clearly when you're stressing or when you're in survival mode. But because we're not in survival mode, abroad, here we're able to think and strategize, and I see so many clients ideas begin to morph in ways that they would not have even imagined, because they've given themselves the gift of betting on themselves. Like, one of the things that you have to do in moving abroad or even in business ownership is that you always have to bet on yourself. And one of the things that I know is I'm not going to let me down. So that makes it a little bit easier and more malleable. It doesn't mean that you're not going to work hard. It doesn't mean you're not going to have failures. It doesn't mean, and there's no such thing as failures anyway. It just means that's a lesson. So let's learn the lesson so we don't repeat the mistake. So applying that lesson. And when you do, it just makes you better. It makes you stronger. It makes you more savvy. It makes you learn how to deal with certain personality types, or setting certain boundaries, or having a price set that you like. I'm not getting out of my bed if it's not this number. If they're not coming here, then why they don't even need to be reaching out. So you just develop certain traits that make you stronger and better.
yeah, definitely. Yvonne says people have trouble identifying what transferable skills they actually have.
That's why people hire people like me, because you oftentimes can't really see it in yourself. And for somebody like me, I work on both sides of my brain. So there's that creative yet and analytical. So I'm able to marry those two. And we unfortunately compartmentalize. We can only be analytical, and we can't necessarily be creative or knot them together. And so somebody from the outside looking in can help them strategize.
Yeah, definitely. But I wanted to go back to what you said about being in survival mode, like while you're in the US.
Mhm.
In what way has that sort of been alleviated now that you live abroad?
We don't have the pressure to prove. We don't have the pressure to produce or be faced with, well, you have to meet this next benchmark. We don't see that. We don't get that. We don't have that. So it takes you automatically out of survival mode. It automatically removes you from that level of stress.
Yeah. I feel like I didn't even realize I was in survival mode until I left for an extended period of time, because you don't
Mm.
realize not the it's never like that 2 week vacation. It's not
Oh
that.
no.
It has to
Mm-mm.
be, I would say, a few months of
I agree.
not feeling the tension in your shoulders. Not
Mhm.
you don't, because you really don't even realize it. And all I can think about during our conversation is there's so much untapped potential from people.
We we say that all the time here. We
Yeah.
say that there's so many businesses that can be open if people would just take a chance or learn. I don't focus on the brick and mortar space, but my girl Michelle does. She can tell you how to do a brick and mortar. If you want, like, to have more flexibility and freedom in location and time autonomy, then I'm your girl. Like, I help people with digital or businesses that they can create online. But we say that all the time here, that there's so much potential. And I mean, we see business opportunities. Like, I would love a botanica here in SMA, but I'm not about to create one because I don't want my time being taken up.
You're like, that's too much work. And that's not
That's
my
too
fault.
much work. I mean, I got to show up. Oh,
Right.
God, no. Every day to a locate. Oh, hell no. Versus I can do this from anywhere in the world.
And what's crazy is there's probably somebody at, working as a secretary somewhere who's like, man, I really wish I could. And they just
Yeah.
never, you could if you left the US because it's probably more affordable.
And
But
and the barrier to entry is so much less.
Mhm.
The red tape is so much less. It just opens up a world of opportunity for people. But you will have to bet on yourself in order to be able to see it.
Betting on yourself is hard. Comfort is nice. I'm not gonna lie. Comfort is
It's
nice.
not comfort, it's complacency.
Mm,
It's not comfort.
that's fair. That's fair.
Mhm.
Um, okay, so it seems like your strategy services, your business services kind of go hand in hand with relocation unintentionally, or was it intentionally?
It was very unintentional.
But how does the relocation aspect of your business work?
Um, so my clients who are business owners, who are planning their move abroad and supporting them in the strategies and the ways of getting their residency and the processes in that, making sure that when they have, for Mexico in particular, have done their part two, that we have everything set up for when they land. They're meeting with, on the Conhe process, that they're handling the part two of their residency, securing that, making sure they are going on relocation, not, I'm sorry, neighborhood tours if they're interested in specifically here, talking about like healthcare, making sure that they have access to healthcare information, doctor information, setting up their lifestyle. So it works like that, and it depends. My clients usually work with me from 6 months to a year and a half. I don't work with you have to be in it to win it. So it's a while.
You don't work with Wayfair clients, like people who are like, "Oh, this might be a cool idea," but
Hmm.
haven't put any work in. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I put
Hmm.
a link in the chat to your 6-month business incubator program. Could you tell the people a little bit about that?
Oh yeah, that's the one that it's a business incubator program. I focus on women in business. That's my area of expertise is working with women in business, and so this one has. It's not only the 6 month component, but this one has a SMA experience too. So if people were to decide they want the branding immersion experience, they would come to SMA. It's a house, it's a beautiful hacienda that they would come to. They would have just the luxury services. It's only 6 spaces for this particular program. And we do branding. We'll have a day of branding. They'll have a VIP days where I'm auditing their business. We'll have a photo shoot, a professional photo shoot for them. So they have a branding package that they're working on. And then also, because my goal is always to aim my clients to be thought leaders in their industry, we're talking about how we can position yourself for public speaking.
Public speaking. I hate public speaking on my YouTube channel. I'm speaking.
Public speaking, yeah, absolutely. Because in order to be a thought leader, you have to be able to command a room.
Yeah, that's fair.
Mhm.
And I'm also gonna post a link to all of Tracy's services so you guys can check
Okay.
it out. If you want to get in touch with her, I'm gonna put her Instagram in the description of
And you
this
could just
video.
my
And
website.
yeah, or you
My
can
web,
go directly to her
yeah,
website.
my website is good because if they sign up like 15 seconds, there's a pop up that comes on, and they get some business downloads that they will be able to get for that.
Yeah,
Some free business downloads.
definitely. Does anybody have any questions in the chat? We plowed through a lot of my questions.
We did. We did good timing.
We did really good timing. I think for me, my
Mhm.
takeaway with this is be confident in yourself. Be confident in yourself. Build community abroad. Go to the plan, and
Mhm.
I hope everyone got something from this interview. Tracy, thank you so much for coming. Um,
Thank you.
I know we've been on here for yeah, we're at time. So thank you so much for coming. I appreciate you sharing your insight on Mexico and business in general.
Mhm.
Have you back on the channel anytime?
I love it. You know, I love you. So you call, I answer.
Yay! Thank you so much.
I
One last.
do.
Yvonne is asking, do you have any retreats with treats
Oh,
capitalized coming up?
she's so. Oh yeah, I forgot about that. Why would I? How could I forget about
I
that?
didn't know.
Um, we have our wellness retreat coming up. Michelle and I, we have our company and Black Blossom, and we focus on wellness retreats and travels for Black women having luxury experiences. So we have two more spaces left for our Oaxaca retreat that's happening in March of next year. And so if you go to Facebook and type in Black Blossom, the group comes up. And yeah, I'm excited about that because we're going to spend, Honey and I are going to spend the last half of March in Oaxaca. And so we'll go to Oaxaca City and then we'll venture over to the coast to just outside of Huatuco.
Awesome. And I'll find the link and I'll put it in the description of this video if anybody is catching the replay.
Yeah.
Like says no questions. This has been a real game changer for me working with Tracie on business and relocation. Butterfly effect.
Yeah, that's my client, Carla. When
Oh,
I tell you, one thing I love about her is she is an executor. Like I love that. I don't work with women who waste time. Like she, it's like get things done. This is your goal, and so she's an excellent executor.
yeah, we're not playing games. If you're
Mm,
interested in moving abroad, if you're interested in bringing your business abroad, if you have a business idea and you need help structuring it, hit up Tracy.
mhm.
Hit
Yeah.
Tracy.
Yeah.
But thank you again for coming on my channel. Any
Thank you.
parting words, any advice that you would give to anyone?
Yeah, I would just honestly say, like you said, bet on you. You won't let you down. I promise. I promise you.
Yeah.
Mm-mm. And
Um,
get in community of women or get in community with other people who are your cheerleaders.
mm,
Get in community with people who, like our community, we definitely have think tanks. We can strategize. They can run a business scenario or problem, or it can just be anything that they just want to talk about and get off their chest. But get in a secure community. And I will say that I did not have any community until I moved abroad, not the community that I needed. And had I not left, I wouldn't know any of these women.
it's beautiful. I mean, when you said everybody you know in SMA is a business owner, I was like,
Yeah.
tap in.
Those are all my girls,
Mm.
every single last one of them. Michelle's supposed to be on vacation, but she's texting me. I'm like, girl, but it's a wonderful thing to be able to have that shared experience, and nobody's in competition with each other.
Mm.
That's another thing. Like we're not competing whatsoever.
Yeah, you work.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Mhm. Yeah.
Well, thank you so much for being on my channel, everybody. This was the Awkward Black Nomad. Peace out.